Well, today, May 25th, marks the 1 year anniversary of the killing of George Floyd here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And in this town especially, there's been a lot of reflection and wondering about where we are, where we've been, the movement forwards or even backwards. Just a few weeks back, the officer was convicted of killing George Floyd. The other three officers involved in the incident and charged with aiding and abetting, that's been pushed back. But even during the trial, there was another killing of a black man by a police officer, which, along with other incidents around the country, indicate that there's still a lot going on, a lot of tension, a lot of stress in our society. But what I'd like to do is focus in on the core of the message that these monthly episodes, looking at what's going on in our society and looking to translate that into what goes on in our organizations, I'd like to be able to go and keep things with that by kind of reflecting a little bit on what's been going on in the last year politically and connect that with how initiatives and efforts proceed or don't proceed in our organizations. How the things that are being done from a societal and political perspective really, although not as strongly practiced, actually happen in our organizations. So what we've seen over the last year is a group in our society that went and protested, unfortunately did some looting of many major cities, not only in the United States, but across the country. And another segment of the society decrying how they could go and destroy that property, that was against peaceful protests. And they shouldn't be doing these things because there isn't a race problem in the United States. Coupled with that, some would say active pushing against addressing the pandemic of COVID-19 and making that a political issue to be able to stop certain things from happening, to be able to line pockets and show the disparities that really are out there. COVID-19 is really, especially with children, students, and minority communities, not only in stark relief how the structure isn't put in place to be able to support them, especially with remote learning. We've seen the anti-Asian bias, hate that's come through because certain people equate the COVID-19 virus with Chinese people, that they started, it was all their fault, and every single Asian person should be vilified for that, and they take efforts to be able to do that. To an insurrection on January 6th of our nation's capital, and now aspects of our politicians who are trying to cancel what happened there. And that's the aspect that I'd like to get into. This push and pull between people that want certain things to either happen or stay the same, and that infighting, the mud that people go through that keep things from actually being debated properly, actively pushed against, either by saying, it's a stupid idea, it's not going to work, we tried that before, there's no reason it's going to work, or this is going to have a really big impact on the way that I've always done things, and I don't know if I can handle that major overhaul. Or leaders, whether it be in the diversity, equity, inclusion space within their organization, or even with the general politics that happen, the leaders saying, you know what, I don't believe that there's an issue. Even though there are things being said and done that indicate there are people, there are leaders who go and say, no, that's not our company. Either they do it with rose-colored glasses on, or this is the way that they actually want the organization to go, in spite of the forces of the employees going saying that the mission isn't being fulfilled. There are things going on at work, whether it be lack of communication, lack of creativity, little empowerment or accountability. There are justifications made by leadership that say, oh, that's not something we can deal with right now. Or moving that fast, that quickly, I don't think we can handle it, so let's just stay the course. These foot-dragging steps that go and keep organizations from fulfilling their mission, doing the right thing, finding out what's possible, even though there may be mistakes in there. That's not that different than what's going on in our federal and state legislatures and political arenas across the country. There's something that you as a leader can do for your organization to be able to go and ease up some of that tension, lower the temperature, and actually go and help leaders and employees connect with the purpose and move forward in substantive ways. Yes, you can do it. We've talked about it in some of these podcasts over the last year or so. One is a full commitment to the mission and vision, and figure out how you can go and discuss the common frequency of what execution and practice and behavior according to the mission and vision means for your organization. And set up structures from an organizational level to a cross-team level and an individual level to be able to go and state those words, practice in that manner with integrity or honesty, collaboration, whatever fits your organization, that you drive to the structure, not of just fighting fires and keeping your head above water. We are getting out of COVID. It's not about survival anymore. Things have been laid bare in your organization because of COVID, and you've been able to do some great things to be able to thrive and survive. And now it's time to make certain that your organization connects with its mission and vision. Secondly, as you have this philosophy and practice in place to be able to go and align to mission and vision, you take an honest look at your diversity, your equity, and your inclusion. In 2 days, on May 27th, I'm going to be facilitating a conversation with HR folks about how to align to mission and vision. And then next month, June 24th, I believe, the last Thursday of the month, I'll be bringing in some great diversity, equity, and inclusion leaders to be able to go and talk about the competitive advantage that having greater DE&I in your organization can actually provide, and how it will actually accelerate your capability to fulfill your mission. New insights, different points of view, respecting, taking another look at what's going on to make sure that you're meeting your mission and vision for all. Take that honest look at diversity, equity, and inclusion in what the environment is, not only organization-wide, but especially with your leadership. Over the course of this year, I became qualified as an administrator of the Intercultural Development Inventory, a really interesting assessment to be able to go and understand how individuals, teams, and even organizations sit regarding the continuum on intercultural competency. If you take a look at how your leaders are and work with your leaders to help them in their intercultural capacity to be able to see things, work through where they're at on the continuum, understand their issues and why they might feet drag on some of these things, that will help a lot. While you're doing that, taking an honest look at the breakdowns that you have in your organization. That could start by an orgometrics assessment. On the DE&I side, it could be an equimetrics assessment. But know in your organization where there is alignment or misalignment, and in what manner. And being able to go and address how you can go and improve communication, trust in leadership, general accountability, to be able to go and accelerate performance, to bring that engagement plus purpose. You can go and engage the hearts and souls of your employees and rise them up, support your leaders, and have your leaders support employees to be able to go and drive for a more perfect union in your organization. You don't have to let the political machinations of your organization stand. You just don't have to. It shouldn't be acceptable behavior in your organization. It shouldn't be acceptable behavior in our political structures. But you can make an impact where you sit. You can make an impact personally and activate. You've seen and have probably been disgusted by the political maneuverings of those that we've brought into office, that we've elected. And you see a lot of bickering and arguing and maybe not a lot getting done from your standpoint. That same stuff is happening on a different scale in misaligned organizations. And there's misalignment in every organization. You can take an active and positive role in changing that, in making your piece of the world a better place, and then helping to spread that to your customers, to your stakeholders, the community. And hopefully there are enough of those organizations and individuals engaged in that positive mission-driven practice that it starts having a greater impact on our society. I'd encourage you to look inside yourself, to look at this last year and how you've seen society, and take some notes about how, even on a smaller scale, things have been going on in your organization. and how you can drive positively to align to mission and vision. Thanks for your time. Hope you have a great rest of the week. We'll catch you next week. Cheers.